Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I botched that intro. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 144 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. As you can hear from my utter botch of that beginning of that intro, it definitely has been a while. It definitely has been a while. But as per usual, I'm joined by my esteemed colleague in arms, C.H. Gorok.
Hey, howdy, hello.
And as usual, I am here as well. Splinter 47 joining you tonight on this Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. This spooktacular October! Ooh.
This is the Halloween episode, which we're recording like a week and a half in advance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might have another Halloween episode, but just in case we don't... Well, I mean, American culture and consumerism celebrates things months before they actually happen. Like, there's... we make jokes that that we celebrate Christmas way too damn early, but I started seeing Christmas stuff like 2 months ago. Like, that's starting to worry me. That like it's actually reaching back into like springtime, and we're just gonna like finish up Christmas, and then the day after it just like don't forget to start shopping right now for Christmas Part 2 in March 20th.
Yeah, it's just so much consumerism. I'm a guy that likes being surprised on when actually something is coming up in terms of, I guess, holidays. You know, like I mentioned before we were doing the actual recording. I mean, I'm one that never really looks at the calendar, so I'm always constantly having to look at either my phone or just to remind myself what day of the week it is. And then I realize that holy crap, it's we're about almost a week and a half away from Halloween. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't notice that from all the commercials about Halloween and all the horror movies that I've been seeing on AMC. It's like no wonder.
And it's the one time of the year where no matter what your race, your creed, your gender, nobody ever makes it. I strike that. Actually, everybody supports women dressing up as seductively or as promiscuously as possible. Even people are just like, oh, women these days dress too much. Like then, like when Halloween rolls around, it's like, yeah, it looks nice on you. Go out and have fun. It really is that one. Like looking up, was it like Halloween costumes or Halloween Central or one of Party Supplier, where they're just like there's an entire outfit just like for toddlers, for men, for women, and then there's just like the sexy aisle, which is just like sexy Frankenstein, like sexy refrigerator, sexy sexy Richard Nixon impersonator. It's like anything that they can find, like any type of costume that there is out there, there's a sexy version of it, and even several ones that don't have an analog to the regular costume shopping.
Yeah, and they even have costumes for things that you can actually, do it yourself. Like tuxedos or something like that. I mean, you can, if you have an actual, tuxedo, I think you'd be better off with that one to just buying and probably something that's overpriced and just wear it for that night. Although wearing an actual tuxedo and maybe getting it dirty wouldn't be too beneficial. So I think I would take back that comment and go ahead and invest that overpriced tuxedo costume for that night there, folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's certainly worth it. Trust me. Like the more impressive that your costume is, the better off you are for the rest of the evening. But also, one having function to it is also a good sign.
Yeah, I never went all out with my costumes. I always kept it simple. I never bothered to invest much into it because it's just only one night. So unless you're going to be wearing that, I guess a couple days before, maybe a couple days in a row, which you'd be a weirdo for doing that. Although I'm not vilifying that. Unless maybe you're going to when is Halloween? It's going to be on a Friday, isn't it? Thursday.
Or am I mixing it up? Let me
see.
Take a gander.
Take a good old gander at that calendar here.
I love just like the standard the MacBook Pro calendar that comes up, because you go to like the day and the time, and then you scroll down to open date and time preferences for the calendar, and it takes 2 minutes to boot up. It's like, listen, I don't need this right now. Here it is. It's actually, we're going to miss it by a day. It's going to be 31st is on a Thursday.
Thursday. So unless, man, that's not a good day for Halloween, man. Even when we were younger, we were like, that's still a school night.
Yeah, it's the sugar hangover. For kids, it's the sugar hangover to get rid of just all the, basically the morning after of of divulging in all that candy, even though you told your parents like, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to eat it all. How? And then just in the morning just having the worst explosive diarrhea possible. For adults, it's the actual hangover, where it's like you get to dress up in ridiculous costumes, then go to parties, drink too much, and then you wake up in the morning like, oh god, I don't know where my costume is.
I would say, I guess, for this certain situation, I probably would be down for some type of Halloween get together that day, and then probably continue it on Saturday.
Yeah, they might actually. Maybe it should be a new occasion that adults do the All Hallows Eve. We make November 1st All Hallows Day, where we just have all the adults on just the day after going like, okay, now the kids are in their diabetic comas after eating all that sugar. Let's get to partying.
I think that would be the way to go about it, since it's something that falls in almost the middle of the week, and I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to enjoy your Halloween. So
absolutely. I was looking it up as well of just it was HalloweenCostumes.com, and I will be damned. I mean, it's just there's so many choices and selections, and I also like the fact that in the adult costume store, it's like the men have their costumes, and then all the women costumes are essentially just the sexy costumes that they put into a different category. I guess they get more people that way. It's like, sexy costumes don't look that good. I want a little something more conservative. I know, I'll go to the adult female section. Oh, this is much better. And then just like sitting down to that.
The 2-for-1 costumes are the worst, like the ones that involve another person, like the electrical socket.
Or the what is it? What's the traditional one? Like the horse, where you gotta, where someone's the ass and someone's the head.
Yeah. That's a trademark costume for a co-op party there.
They even have dog costumes. This is ridiculous. Hold on, I'm gonna send you a URL.
All right.
And I want you to look at this dog and tell me he's not contemplating murdering whoever put this on him.
So for those,
like, laugh while you can, you son of a bitch. As soon as you turn off that camera, I'm gonna bite you in the butt.
So for those of you who can't see this, obviously, I'm gonna go ahead and do this theater of the mind. So CH linked me to this website where you can buy your pet a costume here. So it's a woolly mammoth costume on what looks like to be a what kind of dog is that? Is that I forgot the name. It's like it's the dog from isn't the dog from Men in Black? No, that's not Men in Black. I hate to reference this movie, but from Little Nicky, was it Mr.
Yeah, the
Beefy?
one with the big old eyes.
Yes.
I don't want to say pit bull. I've got pit bulls on the brain, but it's not a pit bull. Oh damn! He looks. Nah, shoot! It's the kind of dog that I think Churchill's often compared to.
Hound dog.
Yeah, it does look a lot. Pug. Maybe?
Yeah, I think it's a pug. Something like that. So he's got like you said, he's got the look that he's ready to just attack anyone on sight who even makes a comment or acknowledge that he's wearing this particular costume, this woolly mammoth costume, which is it's cute, but yeah.
Yeah, it just looks. It would basically look great, like for a commercial, if they just like zoomed in on this like static picture of this dog playing Gary Jules' version of Mad World. Just like zooming in closely onto the eyes, just to see that depression just sink in.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, going as far as that. So, yeah, many choices. Yeah, many selections on here. Hard to choose.
all those selections are good, and they have exclusive ones, and they have a lot of recent like trends, such as like they got Walter White costumes in there, and that's all fine and well. But for me, I want to be a little original, so that's why I'm going to go with. Can you guess who I'm going to go as?
The CH costume.
No, they don't have a mask that terrifying. It's actually going to be one of my favorite politicos of all time. Anthony Weiner, a.k.a. Carlos Danger.
Da-da-da.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. I need to bring something up because... hold on.
The Carlos Danger. Oh, they got a Martin McFly Back to the Future jacket here. Not bad. I'm liking the sexy Batgirl costume there. That's actually pretty nice. That's really good. Let's see. Oh.
It is, and also I'm going to be carrying this around whenever I introduce myself. Just a recording of... And that's what that's going to be my Halloween costume.
Pretty much it. Just to have some type of audio device and just play that. You're going to be Carlos Danger.
I mean, just name tag Carlos Danger. Going to be wearing just a business suit and tie, look as respectable as possible, except for a giant sombrero and one of those like big stereotypical Mexican mustaches, or just try to maybe just like find a cheap knockoff Mario Brothers suit, like steal that mustache and then put it on, and then just go around as Carlos Danger.
I don't know what's worse for you, like either wearing a costume that you'll see maybe 5 to 10 people with the same costume, or wearing a costume that people don't get.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like you're intending to go for something, but they mistake it for they aren't able to identify what it is. Like I remember when I was younger, I dressed up as Freddy Krueger. So I have a very, very vague memory of what I look like. The aftermath of putting the makeup on and putting the prosthetics on with the nose and all, and no one identified me as Freddy Krueger. So that was a joy for Halloween. They thought I was just Pinocchio with claws.
Maybe you can just be like, I'm Pinocchio that was bitten by a werewolf.
Oh yeah, I could have said that. Yeah.
And if you don't think of me as Freddy Krueger, I'm gonna claw your eyes out.
with my plastic claws.
I got 2. The first is the most recent one where it was 2 years ago, where I went as a member of the Vox Populi from BioShock Infinite. This was before it came out, and so I thought, like, okay, so the group that I hang out with is like pretty artistically inclined. A lot of them play video games. Maybe they'll know who the Vox Populi are. I just like painted the left side of my face with red paint and kind of wore early 20th century type of clothing. I got a nice tweed jacket that I brushed out and wore, but they didn't get. They're like, are you a soccer hooligan? Are you Two-Face? Like, ooh, so close and yet not even close at all.
Well, they'll look back on it after they play BioShock Infinite and go, yes, no, that's what he was going for.
I just like imagine that moment where they're playing BioShock Infinite, and then like suddenly they have like the Kaiser Soze moment where it's like da 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 da. They slowly drop the controller to the ground and like run out the door. Like, CH, wait, CH.
I've had those moments.
And then the other one, which was a lot more embarrassing, was when I was back in middle school, and I wanted to dress up as a member of the Blue Man Group for the oddest reason, because I went up there, I was like, oh, Blue Man, okay, this is cool, and no one will be dressing up as this. But I got dressed up, I got a bald cap, and painted that blue, my face blue, everything was blue, and basically, when I went there, the first guy who saw me was like, oh, are you a condom? It's like, damn it!
Oh, I thought you were going with maybe a Smurf, but yeah, condom that was a much more better response there.
And I said to myself, "Yep, I'm changing out of this."
Shit.
It's like if people assumed I was a condom, then they would probably think that I was going to be the last person in the entire school to use it if that was going to be my costume.
Yeah, very funny, very funny. Yeah, that's like I think that's the most funniest stories is the ones that you intend to go with something, and I guess the way that you execute it doesn't quite translate well for some others, and some people won't get it, some will. But those are always the funny stories to tell.
I'm probably gonna go. It's like Carlos Danger, and someone's gonna say like, I haven't. This is hopefully someone's gonna be having a party. If not, then I'm just gonna be handing out candy for the entire night. Probably not as Anthony Weiner, because that's gonna scare a lot of kids away. But, if I do dress up as Carlos Danger with the sombrero and the big mustache, I'm probably going to have people come up to me and goes like, oh, Carlos Danger, is that like a Mexican senator or something? It's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, you just got to make it obvious for him now at this point. Put it on your shirt, Carlos Danger. You don't know who that is? Look it up. Read up about it.
There was actually for some reason I just became obsessed with Carlos Danger within the past week and a half, and so I'm just looking up the compilation of when the entire thing of like using Mystikal's Danger. That was completely from the Daily Show using that song whenever they introduced Anthony Weiner's stories, just because of his username to talk to the woman he was seeing was Carlos Danger. And just John Oliver dancing to that is just so good. And so just seeing that, and then there's another one of him, the Breaking Bad meme where he goes, I am the danger, Carlos Danger. And just I wish more senators were as entertaining as this, whereas most of them just run our government to a screeching halt and then cost the entire country about $20 billion.
Yeah, he was certainly entertaining. I'll give him that. I was kind of hoping he would win just for the joke, but I don't know.
Barry Part 2?
Yeah, well, more than likely. I don't know. It's he's definitely. I don't know how good he was in terms of a senator or anything like that, but he's. I mean, definitely, I don't care about that. I mean, it's really not a, what he did with that whole sexting thing. I really couldn't care less. I think it's more on the part that he just kind of lied about it. I think that's what I guess what got most people, reasonable people, that he just lied about him going through the phase of forgetting that whole scandal. And people forgive them for the most part that first time that happened. So he had it. He kind of mucked it up.
The thing that really got him was that Anthony Weiner did it the first time and was caught. He's like, I'm sorry, I talked to my wife about it. And then he had the audacity and the brass balls that we actually got to see in his dick pics that he showed to basically everybody in the entire nation. That he just came back and like cheated on his wife with another woman, and it wasn't even like 2 years down the line. It was just brazen with how he took this, and he had no one. I mean, hell, even Michael Vick was let back into the NFL after one showing of dogfighting. But with politicians, it's sort of you get your free pass, you get your monkey shines and your foolish behavior, and then after that, if you get caught again, we can't help you. And it just with Anthony Weiner, he really should have just not lived up to his name.
Definitely, it's also one of those things where people they get upset just to get upset. I don't think they actually do care too much, or they're just in it for the gossip. And people forget. That's the thing. People are always up in arms about something, and they always forget. And then they'll come back and reemerge from like it was nothing. I mean, what Weiner did wasn't that bad. I don't know if you would consider sexting cheating. That's more of your own, morale. And what do you think about that? I don't think it's definitely, it's definitely betraying, the trust you have with your wife. That's certainly something even worse than, actually doing the do. But He was a rookie anyway, so he didn't know what he was doing. And also, I mean, trying to remember the other guy there. He was even worse than Wiener. The Spitzer, he was worse than him. And and he's got his own show.
Which senator was it who just was caught at a nudist beach with his mistress and was like, oh, I wonder how he could ever go to the media. It's it's not what you think.
It's a part of the culture.
It's incredible where I feel personally more strong about it because it's we elect these people to Congress and to the House. I'm sorry, the Congress and the Senate and into the highest seats of power in the land to represent us, and they can't even act like regular human beings. They get the little power that they have, and it goes to their head. And in Wiener's case, that was very literal with a lot of the pictures that he showed. Maybe that was a really really creative viral video that got taken into the wrong context. Whose Wiener is this? Who knows? Oh wait, it's Anthony Weiner, but it actually just got caught. It's oh dang it.
I don't know. I find those who don't have much going on in terms of, I guess, in terms of scandal. I find them more interesting than those who do, because at least they're more upfront about it, sort of. I mean, they got caught, but at least you kind of get an idea of that guy is maybe you can't relate to him entirely, but you kind of get the sense that, which I like to see more than just anybody in office. You get that they're actually just regular people with just the power, but it's one of those things where you kind of get to see that a little bit, definitely with Wiener, him getting caught up doing that again. It's I don't know.
It's
crazy.
It is, on one hand, it's humanizing.
Yeah,
it is, to see them being caught in these scandals and to see them as fallible human beings. But then again, it's you're elected to represent either your county or your state, or just the limited seats of power in government that require respect. And then you do something like, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't know that boy was underage and was high on cocaine that I just gave him. You can't expect me to have that. And then it's just, I don't know. I mean, at one point, it's hilarious. I love watching it on TV. Just wow, I don't need to tune into the Daily Show or Colbert Report. This is enough for me. But on the other hand, it's I would like to see just politicians getting a little bit more, I don't know, hard-lined with their responsibilities. Sure, I mean that's definitely. I could definitely see why people didn't vote for him. He's definitely made a lot of bad decisions. I guess more in his personal life. So I guess they would take that to heart in terms of his politics. Maybe he'd probably be as reckless with his personal life and in terms of also politics as well. That could be taken that way as well. But who knows? Mm-hmm. He may have been a good candidate for it, but he just was a bad decision maker personally in his personal life. Yep, it's just Anthony Weiner. But we move on, and we remember the horrible tragedy that was by impersonating him with a Halloween costume, which I will, and I will win, and it will be wonderful. Yeah, I was going to say, how do we talk about Anthony Weiner all of a sudden? But yeah, your Carlos Danger inspired costume brought this conversation to light. So that was interesting. I like that. So, well, thank you. Yes. Danger. Oh, mystical. That's a good ringtone. I think I'll consider that. In the long line of many ringtones available, I think it's gonna rank up in my top 10 list of possible ringtones I'll use. It's just like ex-girlfriend calls, danger, Danger! Get out the house!
Right now, I'm considering switching to some Phil Collins of "I Don't Care Anymore" because that's a damn good song.
Very nice.
I like the drums in the Phil Collins songs. The drums, it was the good drums in that, and the other one in the air tonight.
Yeah. When people think of Phil Collins, they think of either one of two things immediately. Like, I know Grand Theft Auto 5 reintroduced him because, Phil Collins is like their good luck charm. But they reintroduced, they have I Don't Care Anymore being very prominently displayed in the game. But also, when they think of Phil Collins, they think In the Air Tonight, or they think of Tarzan. The two worlds, one family.
I did like his. That's a good. That was a good song there. I liked some of his solo stuff. Not some people did, some people didn't. They were mostly like love songs for the most part, right? Like some of his
love ballads.
Some of his solo stuff, which is I thought they were pretty good. Didn't listen to a whole lot of Genesis, but I am aware of the main hits. My favorite one was Mama. I love Mama. That's a good song.
Oh yeah.
They had. Now that I think about it, they did have. They had Genesis in GTA 4. If I'm not mistaken, that song was in the game.
Mm-hmm. I think it was either in 4 or in the Lost and Damned.
Yeah, somewhere around those lines of that game. That song was in there somewhere. But yeah, some Phil Collins. I also think Lily Collins. I do like Lily Collins.
I have not. Who is Lily Collins' daughter?
Yes,
wife?
his daughter. It was an actress. She was in quite recently that movie that didn't do so well. Some adaptation of a book, Beautiful Strangers, or something like that. Probably Beautiful Creatures, something like that. She was on other stuff too, but nothing that it's worth mentioning. But she is quite she's quite a
lovely lass.
A lovely lass, a breath of fresh air.
Maybe like she should live up to her genetic history by, like, even if it's just like Pride and Prejudice, everyone's like acting like, oh, I dare say, Mr. Darcy over in the corner there, and then just like you pan on over and you follow Elizabeth like down the hallway, and then you just have her like sitting there like playing drums like doom 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 doom. How are you doing today, madam? Very good. How are you? Doom 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 doom. I would hire her. I would just like that woman could be in Pacific Rim too.
I'd be down for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some Phil Collins there. That's most likely what I'm gonna put on a ringtone. Maybe some Frank Zappa. I've been getting into the Zappa craze on and off for the last few weeks.
I love those shoes.
Zappa shoes. That's right.
Yeah, Frank Zappa's good.
He's quite an eclectic artist. He reminds me a lot of like the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys were a very eclectic band. Like they have just a variety of different songs that don't sound like anything that you would normally hear them do. Like it would be like one song would be mostly like a pretty funk or jazzy song. Like I would get surprised every time when I put my iPod on shuffle and then notice that it's the Beastie Boys. Like, oh damn, this is a pretty funky tune.
Did your mama knock on your door and say, "What's that noise?" And did you respond with, "Mom, you're just jealous. It's the Beastie Boys."
You just don't understand.
They're so popular, they exist in the far future, if you've seen Star Trek.
Yeah, looks like it.
Intergalactic. And, that is right. The Beastie Boys are a very eclectic sort of group of genres in music. Like, the first time I heard them was on a rock station, DC 101, and I heard it at first, I'm like, isn't this hip-hop?
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't this more, I don't know, like rap or something that's not really, I don't know, rock-oriented? I would never think that it would be rock-oriented, but surely enough, as my taste expands, like, okay, yeah, I could see that. But they're a very interesting band.
Yeah, they'll have one. They'll have a song that's more rock, that's more, funk, jazz, or pop. They
Techno,
have
hip hop.
a lot of stuff that could be taken and put into different types of genre radio stations, and also sampled. I mean, that's usually the thing with some. I guess with some hip hop artists, they do a lot of sampling, and it's also interesting to see the evolution of sampling. Because originally they sample it from this artist, and then somebody else samples it from the Beastie Boys, who sampled it from that artist. It's all just a cluster of just sampling and oversampling all around. Like the Anyway Eminem song, I'm not digging it. It's not. I do not like the. He took a sample from the Beastie Boys song. I'm not liking it. Ooh. It's not very good.
You don't do that. It's like taking a sample from Sinatra. It just like you're not going to do any better. And by sampling, you automatically invite comparisons.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Much similar to the Vanilla Ice song, which. That's the blatant. It was more of a blatant rip-off of the sample. There's no difference in the sound. It was sounded all similar, but Vanilla Ice will tell you differently. It goes dun dun dun.
At least you changed the lyrics around a bit.
Yeah.
And then what is? Rihanna with SOS was just a sample of Tainted Love. And the thing I think that there needs to be a rule that if you're doing that, you need to make the lyrics good, like not even great, better than the original, just good enough, and it's like get the C. And with a lot of these stuff, it's just like, oh, what are you doing? Just I have no idea. Like Rihanna, like that was not your song that they used in BioShock Infinite for the 1910s version of it. Just like. I'm sorry, that was not Tainted Love. That was just Girls Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. They had like the old time like Tainted Love, whoa, whoa, Tainted Love.
Yeah, I'm not completely against sampling. The thing is that whenever artists don't acknowledge the sample, or when they don't really do much to actually change it up, like there's been samples like DJ Shadow, he does a lot of samples, and you'll notice some of the samples they come from something, obviously, but he does something to the sound that he changes it up just to from just a tad to a whole lot, where you can actually comes off as a kind of a new original sound. That's what I like in terms of my sampling.
It. Like maybe even just like sample a small bit of it, but you should not get the overall impression that's basically the old song with some new added stuff to like some stuff that's not necessary overlaid onto it just to make it try to sound different instead of actually being different.
Yeah, and when it gets to that point, they're just sampling it and just taking mostly the instrumental and just singing over it, and it's really lazy. But it's
it is a play. I think next to auto-tuning, oversampling is becoming kind of a problem.
Auto-tuning, auto-tuning seems to be kind of going down a little bit. It's still present, but not completely gone. It's a lot of the sound now. It's mainly like pop and electronic pop or dubstep. But like before, that was not the norm. That was like one of the electronic stuff was really the really indie stuff. Like people would listen to that, and it wouldn't be a huge Billboard Top 40 type of genre that would be on there. It would mostly be like the mainly poppy stuff. But now it's more electronic oriented, where it's a lot of the drop basses and all that.
A lot of Skrillex. And a lot of Swedish House Mafia, and it's just like the changing of the times, where I think that's probably going to be the dominant form in the future. I mean, I don't know enough about it to say that that's going to be, definitely it, but I feel like maybe hip-hop hip-hop is going to transform into whatever kind of genres and style right now, but maybe, 90s was a lot of grunge, indie rock, punk rock, and then the not decade was a lot more rap, and kind of glitzy hip hop, and then who knows what this decade will bring, which is weird, because we're already 3 years into it.
Yeah, and rock doesn't seem to be as prominent anymore as it once was. I'm sure there's definitely a lot of good rock songs and rock albums out there, but they're not as widely popular as the top 40 stuff.
Yeah, well, we all know where the good rock tracks went to.
Rock Band? Guitar
Close.
Hero?
It's a video game, but I'll give you another hint.
Oh. Well, rock.
It involves... I'm sorry?
Yes?
I was saying, the hint is, it involves a man with white hair.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is?
Why can't I think of this?
Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Oh.
It's obvious that all the best rock albums went... rock tracks, like, this is too good for the radio, we just need to put it into this boss fight and leave them all behind.
Yeah, I could forget that was full of rock and roll.
It's essentially the spirit of AC/DC.
Yeah, the spirit. It's inspired. I think they had Iron Man playing in there at one time.
They do have a man who's part man, part machine in there. So the similarities are striking.
I'm surprised they didn't use that song in some capacity.
They just have like Raiden stepping out of a car.
They change up the beginnings, like I am Raiden.
I am the lightning. I still, no matter how much I try to play that game and try to take it seriously, there's something about not Christopher Yost, but the actor who is Raiden.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't mind his regular voice. Like, okay, that's fine, I like it. And then, but when he's like trying to be like deranged evil Raiden, it's just like, wow, you are trying way too hard. He's like a mix between Batman and like a really agitated Badger. Just like,
Now I feel like replaying that game now, and that was quite a solid game. It was by far the most fun I've had with a with a beat 'em up there since Bayonetta. That boss battle at the end, it really got to me. A Revengeance, but still a fun endeavor to partake in. I'm curious to try it on any hard difficulty, but I'm hesitant to do that. I'm probably going to pull my hair out because of it.
It's definitely a challenging game for people who really want to test the limits of their reflexes. And I like the fact that you have to instead of just like spamming a block button, you actually have to time your parrying and blocking maneuvers.
Yeah,
which is nice.
It is as much as it is not as much as as much, as long as it's not as much as like Bayonetta. It's not as complex in terms of remembering combos or anything. There isn't a huge whole list of moves you can do like Bayonetta, but what you do have is quite essential, and it is challenging enough in terms of the mechanics and the AI to kind of keep things flowing and not overwhelm you with too much stuff to have to remember, like combos and such.
Yeah, there is, I think, more of the experience to like is more about the times, like, can you time something just right, and can you pull off the slicing mechanics in a really cool fashion to satisfy your own interests, shall we say, of seeing violence had upon others. And I think it's definitely a great hack and slash. For me though, no, I'm not gonna say it. It's that's for another discussion. But I'm actually interested in replaying that one too, just because I'd like to re-experience the story and the presentation of it all. I like the characters that they got in there. I like the fact they have a 90s spouting pop culture enthusiast kid. Very nice. I like it. And also just the probably one of my favorite final bosses of all time. Just Armstrong, just nanomachine, son.
Yeah, quite a character and quite a hell of a boss fight. I must say so myself. You pretty much utilizing everything you've learned in that game, from from blocking to moving out, the dodging, and just all the slicing mechanics. It all comes full force on you.
And I can just like you're tossing a Metal Gear gaily about your head, and you're just running up the side of one and slicing things off, and basically having like a Dragon Ball Z fight with Armstrong. And I can just like imagine Snake on the side, like smoking a cigarette, looking over at like what Raiden and Armstrong are fighting at, and like, screw this, I'm going home. I don't have time for this.
I would have ended this fight 3 minutes ago.
I would have tranked him, put him underneath a cardboard box.
The non-assault approach. I like that.
And speaking of games, have you been playing any? What have you been playing these days, my good sir?
I mean, nothing too much. I mean, I'm still popping in and out of GTA 5. I've not really gone back to the online, really, because I find it more fun to be in a party with people and playing it, rather than just kind of me going in there alone and just having to go into my own party, so I don't have to hear any inane conversations from random people.
Yeah.
I haven't delved into the online too much. I've been actually just kind of exploring the Los Santos for the most part, and the single player, just kind of spending money here and there, upgrading, customizing the cars, just the basic stuff like that, and just kind of seeing what I can do and getting into trouble and trying to cause as much mayhem as I can, trying to get the 5-star rating and seeing how long I can survive, things like that. All the good stuff you could do in GTA 5 there. Hijacking planes and buying airfields and always a blast to do there. And just popping in and out of that. And we haven't talked about it, but I did play the Wolf Among Us, that first episode from Telltale Games, which is quite a solid episode there. I dug it a lot. I like the lore of that game, and just looking to see where it goes from there. Like they always get you, man. Even at the final part of the, even though at the final minutes of the game, you think that you're gonna have something. You'd expect something to continue on with the further episodes, and then it just kind of pull the rug from under you. It's like, nope. Oh man.
I should have saw
it coming, but I saw no indication of anything of that nature happening. But then when that happened, I was like, man.
Ooh, that's a swift kick right to the groin jewel area, and they work incredibly well with not only Telltale Games. They looking at The Walking Dead too, they do incredibly well by setting up mystery and you not having context when you come into situations, so you have to use your best judgment in certain situations.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's just so refreshing how they utilize like a lot of choice systems and a lot of like there's a chase section, and you basically come to essentially a fork in the road, and basically you have to look at details. And that's what really makes this completely like, oh, I gotcha. Like, they're very wise at using the environment as an indicator for narrative as well. And I really like the storyline they got going on. I like the characters. A lot of them are really fleshed out well. Like Bigsby, I definitely like him. Just like Lee Everett, I think they give him enough personality to where you know what kind of person he is, but you can choose the finite details of that, like the little things, the minutia.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the game centered around just folklore. So, like most of the characters you'll meet are just iterations from folklore you may be aware of, like Snow White, or maybe like Beauty or Beauty and the Beast and things like that. They're all those familiar folklore characters are in this game for the most part. And somehow something happens where they get transported into like the real world, and they're basically that left to their own devices, pretty much, and under, I guess, a set of rules in terms of just kind of living in a certain area in New York to kind of avoid the the Mundies, as they call them, I believe, humans. So they kind of they're all just basically surviving and making ends meet in order to just purchase like a particular charm or formula so that they can glamour, so they can actually just remain incognito while they're out and about in the real world. So there's all of these certain set of rules. I think Ichabod Crane is kind of one of the head guys there underneath. I don't know if he's the head guy. I think there's somebody else higher than him.
The mayor, I is what I got. I know it's based on the Fables, the graphic novel comic book series, but from what this game tells, like, Ichabod Crane is the guy standing in for whoever was their other mayor, and he just like disappeared, and so they got Ichabod Crane, who's this belligerent asshole. And I like the lore. I like the fact that they also bring in like some lore. They show like the Fables living in the modern day society, and not really, like, some of them have accepted it pretty well. The other ones are a lot of them are struggling, and you get the impression that like a lot of the characters, like from the Fables that we've been hearing about, actually have much darker stories, and just like, especially from the huntsman, who's just the first time you meet him, he's drunk, and not to spoil too much, but it gives you a different impression of who this guy is and who Bigsby is and how they would interact.
Yeah, you get a little backstory through dialogue and a little bit through some of the in-game information they give you, just a little, which is really helpful as well. It gives you a little bit more backstory on some of the characters and their folklore if you aren't familiar with them. They give you enough an idea of what kind of character they are, and how they're kind of how they're dealing with the whole being thrown into the real world there, and just how they're coping with it. And yeah, a lot of some of the takes on the stories, like Bigsby, he's obviously the big bad wolf. He's living with a pig, one of the pigs that he blew down the house of. So he's the pig's always bringing that up to him, making him feel bad. And like you mentioned, they give Bigsby enough of a interesting backstory to kind of see that he's one that's made bad decisions in the past, but he's trying to look beyond the past and trying to be a better person and try to convince others that he's not as bad as he was before.
And it's a large assortment of characters, and it's genuinely surprising, because a lot of times you're just either at the tail end of something happening, or long after, or you're in the middle of something and you don't really know. You get the feeling, even as the first episode ends, I mean, this is a lot more of a crime noir than Walking Dead. Walking Dead was survival and making hard decisions. This one's like trying to piece together the whole picture. And you know that there's something else going on, something a lot more sinister that they imply through dialogue and through just the atmosphere, that something's going on that you really don't have a grasp of, but it's gonna, it's gonna happen in the next episode. And for my money, I'd say I preferred this one a lot more to the first episode of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I have a tough time remembering exactly what happened in the first episode. I do remember it was definitely, I think in order to make this work, you got to have a really strong first episode, and this game definitely did. So it's definitely making me look forward to the next episodes to come. I went as far as buying the season pass. So,
well, yeah, that's probably the only season pass that will definitely guarantee you your money back, because I'm a big fan of Telltale right here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's. I definitely wouldn't have bought it if I didn't know that there was more to come, and the quality of these episodes are definitely gonna be in full effect when they actually come out. It's not like BioShock. What was it? The season pass was about $20-something, and I mean they've only released just a smidget of content so far.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a whole nother story there. But yes, it's Wolf Among Us, solid first episode. I'm highly looking forward to the second episode for that. We should definitely do some type of review or discussion on that second episode, and definitely get that kind of as a regular occurrence. Like as these episodes start coming out, do those kind of review discussions and get into spoilers on exactly what happened on those episodes. That'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, I would thoroughly enjoy to, good sir.
Yeah. Any word on the estimate of that next episode? I'm really looking forward to it.
I don't know.
I'm trying to recall how the schedule was for the Walking Dead episodes. It probably won't be along the same lines of that schedule, but if I take a look at that release schedule, maybe get an idea on how far apart these episodes are come out in between. Usually like a month apart, right?
Maybe. Yeah, the closest thing I'm looking at is a Telltale forum. The guy's asking, when the next one's going to be released, and he said, the moderator just said it's probably at the end of November or early December. So at the very least, we're probably looking at another month of waiting. But you know what? In the meantime, I gotta say, I'm digging the first episode of Wolf Among Us, and I really like the fact that it's an art, like with The Walking Dead. That game I think is phenomenal, and but sometimes like the art style isn't always eye grabbing. Just it's supposed to imitate and ape sort of the real world. So there's only so much you can do with the kind of creative elements.
Yeah. In
terms of how things look, whereas in Wolf Among Us, everything is very saturated and very kind of beautiful and diverse and interesting, and they have very, very interesting character design. There's the Mr. Toad. I love the look of. Towards the end, there's a character who takes off his or her glamour and is revealed as something else, and I really like that design. And I love it's just such a fresh world that you don't know what's around the corner. Whereas just like in their previous attempt, The Walking Dead, it was kind of like you don't know what horror's lying beyond the next episode. For this one, you don't know what kind of creativity is lying behind the next episode.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, both games were definitely going for a design look that suited the game, but I'm really digging the art design of The Wolf Among Us the most, because it looks like it's getting like ripped off a comic book. It's almost similar and as colorful as something you would read on a graphic novel. Much kind of has the same kind of color tones like the Watchmen graphic novel there. And if you ever seen the Watchmen motion? No, was it the
motion comic?
It was the motion comic. Yeah, I have that on DVD. It was almost akin to that in a way, but more detail in terms of the animations and the facial stuff. It was just akin to that art style, which reminded me a lot of that, and it's really visually appealing to look at. And so just taking a look at the scheduled releases real quick. So the first episode of Walking Dead came out in April of 2012, and then the next episode came out in June. So it looks like it's a kind of almost a 2 month span between the episodes. So I'm seeing June for the second episode, late August for the third episode, and early October for the fourth episode there. So there's definitely, it looks like there's some type of pattern going on here. So 2 month between those, and with those games, they're actually working on them as they put these episodes out, right? It's not like they're already finished and they're just releasing them on a schedule. Mm-hmm. They're actually working on them.
Yeah, it's I was reading up on Walking Dead and how their development cycle was, and essentially it was that they got a lead writer and a lead game designer paired up for each episode. So they would have kind of a cohesive unison between the two of what they wanted to convey, and then they would kind of connect between each episode after the fact. So you would have like episode 1 was them setting it up, and then there would be a different team working on episode 2, which was like 2 months later, and that'd be a whole set of gameplay options, and they would bring over choices and particular dialogue options that you would do, and same thing with like all the other episodes. And it's very interesting, and I hope to see a lot more of that from Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, you could definitely tell from each episode. You could definitely see kind of unique takes on the writing each episode. Some of it may be really good, some of it may not be, but most of it was pretty solid and consistent. And you'll mostly be doing different things on each episode, and you'll see where that kind of, I guess, different design choices they make in terms of the gameplay. You'll see it's definitely different and unique takes on each episode. So I definitely noticed that. So we'll see if it's sort of similar to that of Wolf Among Us, and hopefully the quality of the writing there is still consistent throughout the episodes, which is not I'm not too worried about, but I definitely looking forward to the next episode.
It's Telltale have proved themselves to be very good at their ability to write something that's both not experimental, but something that's branching out a little bit from the source material, yet staying true to the source material. Like reading basically the first volume of The Walking Dead, it was just depressing and very nihilistic, and that's supposed to be kind of the point of the novel, but I feel that there kind of needs to be a balance, and they struck that very well in the video game, where it's overall dark, but they also have light moments and funny moments, and they do that very well. Even in their only piece of DLC for the first season of Walking Dead, which was 400 Days, and it's much shorter than any of the it's essentially just one episode of The Walking Dead is long, where it's 5 different stories about 5 different people, and what you do impacts the end of the game, but not in a way that I think people would expect it to happen. And it's a very well done add-on to the game, and it's a very interesting look at kind of this one central location and how it affects people.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely also got replayability factor. I haven't replayed it yet, but I'm curious to replay a couple scenes in The Wolf Among Us and see just how different some of the scenes will take place if you made a certain choice. Granted, I know that I guess if you really look at it, but if you really look at it deeply, like most of the different choices you make, they do have different different cutscenes or scenarios or dialogue options, but the result is kind of relatively leaning towards the same path, but in a way. But I feel that it's not a huge problem for me. It's more about just the journey rather than the destination.
Yes.
But with that, I'm definitely still curious to replay a certain segment in that game to see what would have happened if I didn't choose that particular path. So I need to do that by the end of this week to see what happens there.
Yeah, it definitely gives you some interesting choices in there, especially towards the end, and kind of things that you're like, oh man, this is going to be in the next episode. I'm going to have to bite the bullet and see what happens. And it is a really thoroughly engaging game, and I really love the fact that Telltale Games has found success with not only just franchise games and games that have previous identity somewhere else, and they're doing damn good at adapting it, but also with the point-and-click adventure genre, which that would be the last thing 5 years ago I would ever expect to come back and make a huge game of the year talk comeback with Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's just akin on how well the writing is, and just how interactive enough it is to get you interested in that much more into what you're playing there. Which is odd, because there's all this mixed feelings on Beyond Two Souls, and people who always defend it always bring up The Walking Dead. But the thing is, between that and The Walking Dead is it is a little bit similar in the way that you'll make decisions that will have, for the most part, the same outcome, but we'll have maybe different dialogue options or maybe different cutscenes. But the thing is, The Walking Dead is written better. That's why other people don't like Beyond Two Souls, is the writing is not good.
No,
that's the thing. And people don't hate because the outcome is the same, or just because it's that type of game where you're not really doing much. It's just because the writing is not that great. That's my opinion on that whole matter there, because I've seen a whole Let's Play of it, and I was not particularly impressed by the writing for that game. The performances were really good, but it doesn't really make up for most of the writing there. Like, Willem Dafoe and Ellen Page were really good, but the writing didn't really live up to anything to really make me get into it as much.
Yeah, and a lot of times, and this is, as people will say, like, oh, it's a point and click, you could just make lots of dialogue, you don't have to think about the gameplay. But in honesty, when you think about The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, a lot of times when you interact with stuff, they actually have a purpose. It's like in the beginning of Walking Dead, you can pick up a shotgun shell, the first episode, and when basically you get attacked by zombies, then you can just more easily load a shotgun that you find to protect yourself. Or in The Wolf Among Us, you can get a box of matches, which on the ground, which leads you to something else. Whereas in whereas as opposed to Beyond Two Souls, where it's just like there are scenes where you could choose whether or not you take a poo or a dump, and then have a pee or have a combo, or in Heavy Rain where you're brushing your teeth, and it's like those things have no impact on the characters or the story. So their relevancy in the game is minimal at best, and just taxing and pointless at worst. And with a lot of people criticize the genre of point and click for being slow and for not having good pacing. And with David Cage and Quantic Dreams, I got to be better, just not single-handedly pointing at one person in the entire company, but just with Quantic Dreams games like Indigo Prophecy, which watching Jim Sterling's Now Bloody playing of that makes me laugh, just because there's stuff at the time where it's like, wow, that was really offensive and nobody noticed. But that Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, all that stuff it's pretty prevalent in all of them, and the writing never seems to make up for with The Walking Dead, there are choices that affect you, but at the end you eventually kind of go to the same set pieces as you always will. But it's in Beyond Two Souls, you don't have choices that actually affect even the journey of how you get to the destination. So in the end, you're just kind of letting the game tell you its story. And so if the only thing that it has to offer is storytelling, it better be good.
Right.
And it's not. And it's just I kind of think that with David Cage maybe getting, damn it, I'm sorry, Quantic Dreams, not David Cage, strike that. But just David Cage from his interviews, he always seems to put himself as kind of the auteur. So maybe he gets it a little bit more flack. But anyway, just that if they focus on the... I'm sorry, what the hell was I saying?
Focus on telling a story and getting and making things mean something when you're interacting with items or the environment.
Yeah, and especially with the segmented plot structure where there's apparently at first a very cold character who doesn't care about you, Ellen Page's character, at all, and then just one kind of Pulp Fiction cut later, they're lovers, and just it's weird.
Yeah, that the him going for the Tarantino route of storytelling, I don't mind it, but it does take away a lot from any type of suspense in terms of how that character will interact with that character. I mean, more specifically, like that Ellen Page like romance interest that she has. You kind of know that she's gonna end up hating him as you play, because they'll go back in different time periods of her life, so it's ruins a little bit of the suspense there. But at least with Tarantino, a lot of it will not completely make sense sometimes, but it all will make sense by the end of the film. It all has a meaning. But that just reminds me, because I was just thinking about that because of Pulp Fiction. There were a couple of scenes I missed in the movie, like when I watched it again, I was like, oh damn, I didn't realize that part. Well, most definitely the part that I missed was the Ving Rhames and Bruce Willis scene. At this point, we probably already say it, but would they get kidnapped by those two guys?
Oh yeah, by the two rednecks who have it's such a weird, like, a sub story. Like it comes out of nowhere. Like you expect, like, okay, Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames go head to head very soon, and then it just ends up with them both being like, okay, the spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Pulp Fiction, it's over a decade old.
Right.
Like you definitely have needed to see this by now. But essentially, they both get kidnapped by these two redneck hillbillies who own a weapons shop and have like a gimp in the basement for almost no reason except like to watch. And so it's like such this weird side story that like only Tarantino, I think, could have really pulled that off. Where it's a very slow transition that works very, very well, and of course he has that ability to get that really good dialogue going to kind of make you forget, like, oh yeah, that was a very, very sudden transition.
Yeah, definitely, and just looking at it from that perspective, you could probably watch the movie in a certain order, and it'll be an interesting way to watch it. But just to see it progress throughout the film, you get different scenes and as you go along, but you still end up understanding what's actually going on in the main story. And just thinking about it, it's a lot. You could see it as a lot of maybe Bruce Willis's really main story here. Like he's like it's almost like his story, but you're also seeing like the other characters that are probably going to end up intertwining with his character. You can also see what they're up to before any of that really happens. Like that one scene where Travolta's in the bathroom and then he gets shot by Bruce Willis, like that.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to understand that, like the time wise between that. Like I guess that was probably before. That was probably after the whole restaurant robbery scene.
Yeah. From what I can tell, it was the first thing that happened was Samuel Jackson, Travolta going to the guy's house to get the briefcase, them shooting the guy in the car, going over to Tarantino's house. I gotta say, Tarantino, stop acting in your films. You are one of the worst actors I have ever seen. It's like, don't tell me how good my coffee is. I know how good my coffee is. Like, dude, like, trying to do this like 8 years later with an Australian accent, not gonna help you.
That gourmet shit. I feel like watching Pulp Fiction now.
Don't you fucking Jimmy me.
But expensive coffee, because I know I could taste it. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely as much as I like to overthink things in terms of like the timeline, even regardless of not trying to figure out what the timeline is between those scenes, it's still like a lot of what happens. It still ends up making sense in the end. It's just the way that they go about showing you those scenes is an interesting way to tell a story.
Mm-hmm. But it was also for a point, because it's like okay, you could pick out individual storylines, but you couldn't really understand what it all was until that final one where they're in the diner together, and seeing this sort of bit of interconnectivity and how it's all sort of encompassing this grand idea of storytelling, that was for at least a purpose. Although, some days I don't really believe that. Some days I just think like, yeah, it's just Tarantino cutting up a story that wouldn't have made sense linearly and just hoping that people would think it's brilliant. But then again, that's how I feel about Tarantino. Like, some days I think, oh, he's a genius, he's great. And then other days I'm like, he's kind of a hack. I don't know.
Yeah, regardless of, what you thought his intent was on that story, I mean, just in terms of the way it's set up and just the characters and the dialogue is what really makes that film for me anyways. Like, just it's just, it's what really keeps me rewatching him a lot. It's a lot like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Like, I love that movie so much. Like, it's just because there's so many great scenes in that movie you can pick out and just and watch at any time. Just a lot of memorable scenes in that movie.
That's what I think Tarantino does best. He writes great scenes.
Yeah.
I don't think he can write a great movie together as like an orchestrated effort.
Yeah, possibly so, but I mean, even the scenes that he does, put together in the films, it's just so awesome. Yeah, and even the little small touches in terms of the callbacks to things, even like that book Travolta was reading was just a huge callback by the time he ends up getting shot. Seeing how that all gets to that point.
He is an excellent filmmaker at when he's on, and like with his more recent stuff. I think like Django and Inglourious Bastards were very, very good, and I will still stand by the best thing that he ever was a part of was True Romance.
Yeah, he didn't even direct that; he just wrote the film there too.
Directed by the late great Tony Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, rest in peace. And it still has one of my favorite characters as Gary Oldman as a Rastafarian pimp.
And was it Val Kilmer as Elvis?
Elvis. As a hallucination of Elvis, where they don't even show his face.
That's awesome. But, getting back to, Beyond Two Souls, I mean, I think that, Quantum Dream has a lot of potential in terms of making, a game similar to The Walking Dead, a really good next gen looking, point and click adventure. They have a lot of potential to make something good. It just requires a good writing on their part. And Cage seems to be the one that's writing the games, and really seems to be the most only person from that developer that you really see most often. So I think if he steps away from the writing, I think their games would be a lot better.
Yeah, and also I think it would be a lot better if he didn't put himself in. The problem is he's one of the head. He's basically the iconic head at Quantic Dreams, and because of that, he will need to be in the media and the press to promote the game, kind of like Ken Levine with Irrational,
right,
or Dan Houser with Grand Theft Auto. But maybe if he took a bit more of a backseat approach and just only did interviews talking about the game and what they liked about it, instead of kind of more about, I don't even want to say this just because this shouldn't really, be a thing, but about his opinions on things. Like, he seems a little petty at times. Like, he was talking to somebody at Destructoid who wasn't even Jim Sterling, and talked about Jim Sterling's review and gave it a 7, which is not a bad grade, but he's just like, I just didn't. He just stopped. He was like, "Yeah, we gave us all 7s. Well, you know what? That brought us all down. You didn't think it was a masterpiece." And I understand working on something and wanting it to be respected as the best thing you could do, and just especially in an artistic medium. But that doesn't help.
Yeah, you gotta know what you're getting into in terms of just anything you create is going to get criticized, good or bad, and you gotta just take the good with the bad, and definitely at least acknowledge why some people may not have liked your game. Mm-hmm. You just can't expect everyone to just kiss your ass about it.
Yeah, it's if you're in any art form, you need to understand that there's going to be not only people who don't like your stuff, but are going to be complete assholes about it. And usually, they're the ones who come a lot earlier before the people who are defending your work passionately.
And they're the most vocal about it, and that gets a bit skewed there. And you don't hear the ones that aren't as loud as them that actually are making pretty decent points on why they didn't like it.
Yeah, and the thing is that sometimes the criticism won't be harsh or from assholes, but it just you need to understand that harsh criticism is a possibility whenever you make something, and you just need to be able to take it in stride and take the constructive elements of that criticism and put it into your next piece of work.
Most definitely. Alrighty then. So, is there? What about you, sir? Have you been playing anything that you want to bring up besides the Wolf Among Us?
The Woogamoga. A deadly creature found in the South African Sahara. The only thing I have to is a little cool video game that was actually. It was It was kind of jokingly done as there was a viral sort of marketing thing going around where it's a free game. It's a quote unquote NES game where it's really retro game where it's apparently they were saying this is a Japanese adaptation of the game The Great Gatsby, where it's a side-scrolling platformer, and it's actually a really fun game. It's called GreatGatsbyGame.com, and it's actually really fun. It's free to play. You don't need to sign up for anything, and it gives you. I haven't played too much into it, but it seems like a really cool little experiment. And if they're making games like this, just like Charles Barkley's Shut Up and Jam, if they can make a classic literary novel that doesn't really have anything to do with what they're doing in the game, it's like you're attacking partygoers and flappers at Gatsby's party, and that's the entire game so far.
Sounds like a blast. I like when they take some type of source material and just kind of turn it on its head and make it something completely outrageous like that.
Yeah, they certainly have have done their work on that one. It's I would like to see someone do I know they did Spec Ops: The Line, which was inspired by Heart of Darkness, but I'd love to see a Heart of Darkness one that was just fun times, yay, ready for everyone.
Hey, who knows? Maybe Tales of Games could do that. I mean, they did the Diary of Anne Frank game, which was it was like a side-scrolling game or something like that. It's on the website somewhere.
Yeah, I love the fact that a lot of developers these days are given so many great tools to make really cool little indie games, and I love the fact Charles Barkley's Shut Up and Jam, as well as this Great Gatsby video game that we have here.
Yeah, quite a interesting interesting way to make a game. Why not? Go ahead and make a game about the Great Gatsby that's not about the Great Gatsby.
All you need to do is have that Jay-Z album playing in the background, and you'll be living the movie experience that we had.
Pretty much, yeah. And maybe delay the game after or something, just to put that in.
I would. And have you played the Stanley Parable yet?
I have not. I've heard of it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, apparently, the only review that I've seen so far is, heard about it before, and apparently it's kind of more akin to a point-and-click adventure game, I guess, where you're not actually, it's a first-person view, but you're not really doing anything in it. And they did an HD release where I think the first one was free, and then the HD release cost a little bit of money. But besides that, it seems like an actual a really fun game, and the only review I read of it was Jim Sterling, who said like, yeah, like don't read what anyone else said anything. I'm not going to say anything. Just go and play this game because they deserve your attention, and apparently it's supposed to be really good.
And that was his overview. I'm not going to say anything. Just go play it.
Exactly. Yeah, that was absolutely his review. Just go play it.
I'll definitely do that.
I did. The only thing that I can remember of that similarly in my life was I just did that for Terminator Salvation, where I was so tired by that movie, just like, and also I was a little bit mad because at that point in time I tried to sneak into a movie theater and I got caught, and so like I then had to actually pay for a ticket to go see Terminator Salvation, and so when I did, I saw it like, oh, are you kidding me? I got caught for sneaking into this one before, and it was just the only thing I said was, Common is a bad actor, and then that was it.
Of all the movies to try to sneak into, Terminator Salvation was that.
I was weak. I was young. I was foolish, and I needed the money.
Yeah, Common was the. I recall he was not good in that.
The only thing of note positively that I can say about that movie is like. They gave Michael Ironside a role, and anything to give more money to Michael Ironside makes me happy.
Yes, Michael Ironside being in it, like I guess I believe it was the first 5 minutes. The chopper crash, that was pretty cool. That's about it. And yeah, Michael Ironside yelling at Christian Bale. Yeah, me closing my eyes, thinking Sam Fisher yelling out Christian Bale, yelling at Batman. My dreams come true.
And it certainly, like, I like some of the designs of a lot of the robots and what have you, but that was not a good movie. And the only other really big positive I could think of was they had a Native American lady for the main love interest for Sam Worthington.
She was, yes, she was quite lovely.
Something Moongood, Bloodgood.
I think her first name was Moon.
Yeah, Moon Bloodgood. She sounds like a Harry Potter student.
That's what I was thinking of. And I mean, the other positive about it made me want to watch Total Recall again.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh man, this. Like, I love those types of movies where it's like, oh man, no, it's such a bad movie. Let's watch that really good movie that makes me think about these bad movies.
Yeah, I mean, Ironside, yeah, just being in it was great. Yeah, like I mentioned, made me want to watch Total Recall again. Just his scenes, his death scene with Arnold there, and just all the lines Arnold says is always he's always great in those roles.
He's got charisma.
He's got charisma, but doesn't know it, I think. Oh, it doesn't.
And also, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to think on something else, but I forgot.
Also, I gotta say, one of the best Michael Ironside roles of all time, Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, yes.
They sucked out his brains. Even if you get, like, you could not get a Shakespearean thespian actor into the studio and have him like say that line and make it sound good. Michael Ironside can make it sound good.
And recently rewatching Total Recall, finding
the good version.
The good version. I didn't see the remake. I saw parts of it, but not interested at all. That Dean Norris is in that movie. He was that. He was one of the guys that stopped Arnold first when he was at that bar, at that strip joint that stopped him first. He was like one of the mutated guys. So Dean Norris is who plays the Hank in Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm,
that was him. It's like, damn, I didn't know that was him. One of those things. Rewatch a movie again, you see the credits, say, oh shit, that was him. And the good old IMDb there helps you out.
Yeah, have you ever? Was Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to smuggle in some minerals? He's like, oh, that's not gonna fly.
Something like that. You're trying to give the people some air.
What was the one cameo appearance or acting star from a movie that you're like, wait, they're in this? Like, even if it wasn't like a big actor, just like someone you recognized from before, and then just saw it in like a TV show or a movie, and you're like, wait, what are they doing here?
That's a tough one. I'm sure I have one, but I can't think of one off off the top of my head.
For me, I'd probably go with, not counting video games, because I got a story for that one too. After I speak my piece,
right.
And it's Inception, where it's at the very end where spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, just yada yada yada. It ends with Cobb at the airport, and the guy who's checking his his passport, is the guy who plays Gray Anderson in the TV series Jericho, which I really loved. And I had no idea that he was going to be in the movie. And I'm like, okay, like he seems to be like he was a really big character on the show, and basically he was just an extra in the movie, where he was just check the passport, like, all right, you're ready to go, Mr. Cobb. And then it was just so weird that I couldn't really fully enjoy the ending, because I'm like, wait, that was the guy from Jericho, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm still trying to recall one here. Let me see. I probably would say, there's anyone I can think of off the top of my head. It was Jack Black in Mars Attacks. He was like the one of the many other characters you always have in those kind of disaster movies that you follow. Their ordeal during the alien attack. So he was in a younger Jack Black was in that film there. So was that? I'm trying to see what else.
Yeah,
Jack Black was an extra in Sylvester Stallone's magnum opus, Demolition Man. I recall.
Really, which part did he play? I haven't seen that one in a while.
He was like one of the guys that was with Dennis Leary. Their whole anti PC thing that was going on here. I just it reminded me of that because I just was looking through an article where it basically illustrates some of the small roles that some famous actors are in their early careers. So I'm trying to see what else is in here in this top 10 that I can reference here.
No worries.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm out. Some of these have Jack Black included more than once. Let's see.
Well, he was also in a True Romance, in a deleted scene where he was an usher. He was not actually portraying Usher, which would have been awesome. Just going, yeah, doot doot, doot doot, doot doot. But yeah.
Yeah, if you can think of any other ones there, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to drop that in the comments section. I'm sure there's definitely a lot of that out there. I think I could remember one. Billy Zane was was in Back to the Future. I do remember that? One of Biff's cronies.
It's ooh, yeah. That one. I love the cameo appearance by both Matthew Fox. It's like a 2-for-1 deal. The movie Smoking Aces. I think it was like an okay kind of action film. If you're into like, I want to waste away a Saturday afternoon doing something, you can do worse than Smoking Aces. And two actors, 2-for-1, is Matthew Fox and Ben Affleck, because they there's these like relatively huge now actors. And just when this was going on, it's like, wait, Ben Affleck and Matthew Fox are in this? Why did they advertise this? It's just like, hey, we're here, how you doing? And they just kind of leave through. I won't say how, but both of them give very interesting performances.
Who knows? The movie might have done better if they were announced on there. But I guess it was one of those things where they didn't say it just to ruin the surprise. I'm sure they had some sort of memorable scene in there that they made a slight appearance on. You would hope.
Also, for video games, the whole thing with Danny Timberelli was Michael's son in Grand Theft Auto 5. That just blew me away. I did not know. It's like, that's Danny Tamborelli. That guy, that jerk is one of my childhood heroes. Like watching all that.
Yeah.
What is this?
It's one of the things that blew my mind as well when I found that out, because it did, because I didn't know exactly it was him, but I recognized his voice from all that. It hasn't changed completely. That's why it was one of those things where it was kind of stuck in my head. It's like, who is this?
Yeah. And I didn't know that Franklin's aunt was played by the woman who was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the first Vivian, and just like, wow, that was very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's the ones I could think of at the top of my head. So if there's anything else that you want to talk about there, good sir, I do have a couple of questions from the Twitters that we can answer here before we depart on this lovely episode. I don't think I met episode 144. I did mention that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, it's 144, and ladies and germs, as always, thank you for getting us here.
So let me go ahead and pull up these questions real quick here, and what I have here is a question from Tagibi.
Hey, Tagibi.
And his question is, what is your, since it is close to Halloween, what is your favorite candy to go trick-or-treating for on Halloween? It's definitely, for me, it's always chocolate, but I have such a eclectic taste with candy. Like, it just depends on what I'm really into. Like, I love everything. I love Jolly Ranchers, Snickers, Three Musketeers, Almond Joy, just the basics, basic chocolate stuff. I know you're the rare breed who digs the candy corn there. Yeah, I've talked about that before.
The 1% right here, yes.
So I would probably say Snickers is my my favorite go-to candy there. How about yours?
For myself, of course, candy corn is kind of just, to me it's sort of like popcorn, where it's like, okay, I can eat this and it's just filling. It's not really the most tastiest stuff, but I can have it on hand. But the thing I really go for is, for some reason, I think of the kind of ceremony and pomp and circumstance of Halloween, and it being sort of a complex feature and sort of a complex process of, like, you get in a costume that you like, you get with your friends, go door to door trick or treating, and then it's like you make a night of it. And so for me, I always, even though I don't always enjoy these candies regularly, I do it for the ceremony. I love Reese's peanut butter cups, because it's both chocolate, peanut butter, in a nice, a very interesting sort of design where it looks like a gear, and just eating those, and it's just like, it's so complicated for that type of candy that I love eating those.
Yeah, the best of both worlds, peanut butter and chocolate. Touche, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Nothing can ever go wrong with the deliciousness of chocolate and peanut butter.
And just one more question before we head out here. It's going to be coming from Christian, aka Deep Voice, from the Better Gaming Bureau.
Deep Voice, how you doing?
And his question is, are you waiting for the next gen release of some of the upcoming games, or are you taking advantage of the $10 upgrade? So apparently, some of the qualifying games for, like, the next gen, like the Xbox One, there'll be games like Assassin's Creed Black Flag that can qualify for this. If you buy the 360 version and you get an Xbox One, you can upgrade the 360 version to the Xbox One version for $10. So essentially, you're probably going to be paying $70 if you were to take that bite there for the game.
Yeah, plus the whatever they're going to charge for an Xbox One.
Right. How do you feel about that? Like, some of it's definitely a bit convenient there. I mean, you don't have to completely buy a completely new copy at full price for the next console there. But I can't see myself really actually doing that. But it's certainly not a too bad upgrade there. if someone were to do that, if they wanted to go ahead and maybe play the 360 version from beginning to end and just experience the Xbox One version at maybe a $10 extra upgrade there for the Xbox One. I don't know how different they are. Most likely just in terms, it's probably going to just be more visually appealing and probably a bit more stable in the frames. But people always bringing up having these games be at 60 frames a second, which the frames things I never really got, because it's really hard to tell, because a lot of things that go on that you can't really even make out how good something looks compared to 30 frames per second. You hardly ever notice it, but there are definitely some occasions where like there's some TVs that you'll see at a store on display that have like a lot of frames, and it just looks weird. Like it's your eyes aren't accustomed to it, so it looks like you're watching a behind the scenes video of the movie.
That's what a lot of people had a problem with The Hobbit, because it was shot at 40. A lot of the 3D stuff they were pushing was 48 frames per second, which would make the 3D look better, but it gave this look of like early BBC, where it was, it looked like it was filmed with your home video camera, just because there's a type of film look which people identify as sort of classic, sort of beautiful, and there's actually someone who was talking about animation and how they would take out frames to make it look not as fluid, and for some reason that registered more as kind of beautiful. It was a comparison to Who Framed Roger Rabbit versus like an earlier Bugs Bunny cartoon. And for some reason, for me, I don't have a problem with the frames per second stuff. Like when I'm looking at Metal Gear Rising versus DMC, I don't really notice that, especially when both games were well made respectively, but it just didn't register with me, just because I was just so enthralled by the actual gameplay and the presentation of it all that it wasn't really distracting. And now if it was like 6 frames per second, I think we'd all take a gander like, that doesn't look right. That looks kind of like a flip book.
Yeah, definitely. It's just it could be normal to us if we maybe get used to it for a while, but just seeing it the first time on, it's just it takes a while to get used to it. But it just it's too much frames for me, especially for movies. But I guess to harken back to that question, do you have any opinions on that particular feature that they're probably going to be doing for some of the Xbox One titles? So if you upgrade from 360 version to the Xbox One version?
Yeah, I would have to care about the Xbox One or the PS4.
Right.
I just don't. First thing is, like, essentially the graphics are kind of an arbitrary thing to the overall presentation. Like, unless it's like a world of difference, it won't really matter that much, especially if they're kind of working with the same core game but just tuning around with the graphics. Then it's going to be the same. But for instance, if they were doing something differently, like as we always harken back to the prime example of Splinter Cell Double Agent being made on the Xbox PS2 generation by one developer, and then the kind of this current generation being done by another, then it's going to be a little bit more obvious because of the differences that they have there. But they're essentially working with the same game, but just 2 different platforms, so it's going to be just minor differences. Like, at best, they're going to be kind of like Bully, where Bully was on the PS2, on the Wii, and the graphical enhancements are going to be limited at best.
Yeah, I can see that comparison being a bit more of a tempting reason to go with the upgrade. If it was similar to Double Agent, where it was different in terms of graphics, the story, the gameplay even as well, because they both versions of that took the strongest elements of that particular type of gameplay for Splinter Cell that worked for that console, and it worked for the limitations that they had. So if it's anything similar to that, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be too against that $10 upgrade. But if it's, like you said, if it's essentially just going to be a better looking game, it's not something that I'm particularly too interested in diving into, really. Like I've mentioned before, I think it's too early for that, and I think that, I mean, if they were to do something a bit more different in terms of what you can do in an actual game and the technology that you have and just the overall hardware stuff, if they can, create an experience that you can't, emulate on a 360, then I'm all for it. Like just for perfect example there, you can still continue on this generation just by what they did in GTA 5. There's a lot of creative and technological achievements done in that game that is still on this 7-year-old console.
Yeah, it's amazing what they're really getting out of right now with GTA 5 and with a lot more of the recent games, the presentation in DMC, coming back to GTA 5, the draw distance in GTA 5, just a lot of things that you can really do in this generation. I think we're just starting to tap into, and there's this sort of knee-jerk reaction, like, okay, we've been here long enough, let's go. And BioShock Infinite, that's like not realistic at all, but the presentation in there is just gorgeous. And one of the best games of this generation, The Walking Dead, isn't even, like, probably could have been played on a PC that was like 8 years ago, where it's just this very simple art style that they really incorporate well into the game.
Yeah, it's just all, for me, it just all depends on just the overall quality of the game rather than just the visual appeal of it. If you can create a really good experience for what you have in terms of either whether it be something on the PC or the PSP even, I'm all for it. I don't know, that'd be funny to make the PSP making a comeback. Oh, that'd be something.
Yeah. That would be very, very interesting. Unlikely, probably. Sony, I really wish Sony had better luck with that. But no one wants to buy that expensive of a thing, and
that's...
the Vita, the PSP Go, and the Vita, and of course they had the wonderful. They had the wonderful squirrel cartoons, which that's not the strangest advertising I've ever seen, but it certainly is like, you're not helping your product when you show them this is what you should associate it with. No,
if they were just to get exclusives for it that you can't get anywhere else, I think it probably would have done a lot better for it. I mean, if they were to, example, get the devs for Hotline Miami and have it for the Vita, it would definitely be an interesting investment to partake in, just for an actual original IP on that console there, on that device.
And the thing is, I think Nintendo, because they were essentially one of the first out there, they understand, okay, this is how you make a good game. They got a great load of developers on their side, like the people over at Game Freak and HAL Laboratories. They better keep them under lock and key, because they're making bank for those guys. And then I can't remember who it was, but I believe the guys who were making the God of War PSP games are doing a console game. I think it might be Titanfall.
We'd have to do.
I'm not sure. I'm going to look that up right now, just because I'm really interested. No, that's Respawn. My fault. I should have realized that.
Respawn.
Yep. But I do like the idea of kind of more cross-platform individuals, where they'll just take developers from handheld stuff and maybe have them do arcade games or full-blooded like full-blooded just games on the console, which is just awesome. And and vice versa. Like maybe having the big guys take a step back and do something smaller. Like what I love with Double Fine is what they did with after Brutal Legend. That was their kind of last huge game they did, and now they're just working on a lot more smaller projects. Partly because I think they were tired of doing it. Just these big, huge pushes, then being exhausted, and partly because Brutal Legend didn't do too hot in sales. And I am looking forward to what they have to offer, and it's
yeah.
Oh shit! What the hell was I thinking?
I think so. I mean, if it's definitely it's an interesting idea to take a developer who's worked on really really big games, maybe AAA titles, and make them do something small on their smaller budget to see what can come out of it. Most likely something really good. And I mean, it seems like it's something that you really need to, I guess, entice you a bit more on getting these newer consoles. But even then, if you are supporting the indie market, which is great, getting some new and interesting games available only on that console. But even then, I don't think it should. That shouldn't be enough to. I mean, I like the support for it, but I think that you should be supporting it all the time and not having it just be one of the attractions for you to get the console. Because most of those indie games, they'd be better supported and on the PC. Like some of those games that they're working on that's indie, that's going to be on the PS4. It's not even something that it could run on mostly anything. It probably could run on PC or on the Xbox 360. It's just even that enough. It's not really warranted enough for you to get it to make up a reason to support that console, because they're having indie developers making games for it. They should always be supporting it, even for either their PS3 or even for the Vita.
Yeah.
Should always be supporting them to make something there.
And I figured out what it was. It was Ready at Dawn, who developed God of War, what they did, a Ghost of Sparta, and Chains of Olympus, and now they're doing The Order 1886.
Oh, I think I saw a very small snippet of it on Destructoid. I gotta look into that further. They look good.
Yeah, for some reason I will give a game more of a chance if it's not set in modern day. Just like if it's taking place at some other time period, even if it's something that's already been well explored, like World War II, I will give it more of a chance than I don't know, like a modern day crime shooter or like science fiction future. Like I'm more willing to like alternate history stuff or like the Assassin's Creed stuff where they go to different timelines. I love that. Like I want to see more stuff from the past.
Definitely. I'll definitely be up for that. I take that over anything that's modern, like a modern shooter or just a modern action game that gets pumped out.
Futuristic sci-fi for me as well.
Yeah, I'd definitely be up for that.
And something where, well, I mean, this one is kind of sci-fi-ish, but it's alternate history, so I'll take what I can get. And
yeah, beggars can't be choosers.
Yep, and which is an interesting state of affairs right now. But it does look interesting. It's not enough to get me to buy a PS4 because I think they're going to have to try. First off, like at launch, probably not going to get it at launch because of all the bugs. I learned very, very well from my 360 debacle, where it's like, okay, I went through at least 3 Xbox 360s off the top of my head before finally getting one that didn't blow up when it handled more than 5 minutes of intense combat.
Yeah, I probably would say the same. I went through 3 Xboxes. I'm most likely we're probably not going to experience anything similar to that, but definitely probably most likely we'll experience some slight issues with it at launch, and they'll get resolved by the a few weeks in or a few months in, depending. But I don't even recall. I didn't even buy a 360 at launch either. I think I bought it a couple of months after. I still had my GameCube, and so that when I think when I bought it, it was around the time I believe Double Agent came out. So I had the GameCube version of it first, and then I bought the 360 and bought the 360 version of Double Agent, and then I bought like Hitman Absolutions, one of the earlier games I bought for the 360 there. So it's probably going to be relatively the same for me. I probably won't buy those consoles probably a bit later along the line, maybe a few months after. Who knows, maybe the price will drop on the 360. The 360 is a more pricey one for me, which
right,
and also just depending on what games come out for it. I definitely will buy it for The Witcher 3 and Metal Gear Solid 5 when those games come out. I'll definitely buy it for those, but not right away at the moment. Just depending on the launch titles that they have so far.
And fortunately, I think kind of like with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, they are working for a current and next generation version of Metal Gear Solid 5 for the next endeavor.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to play it on a 360 too.
Hey, that's not bad.
Hey, no, it is not. I am the biggest. What are you looking forward to at the end of this year so far?
That's tough, man. I don't know. This year there's definitely been some good games out, but I don't think it's been as highly consistent as probably last year or the year before. Like there was a lot of really good games coming out last year. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what they were, but I do recall that there were a lot of really good, month after month, good releases out last year. This month has been, there's been good releases out, but they've been kind of spread out in between here. The big ones we've already kind of gotten out of the way so far. Watch Dogs was going to be one of the ones I was interested in checking out, but that got delayed there, and probably have to wrap up the year. I can't think of any other things out for either next month or December. I could be forgetting there, but mainly I'm probably just going to get to round off the year, probably just Arkham Origins and WWE, the next WWE game coming out next week. So I'm probably going to be next week and later on this week Arkham Origins. So I have not kept up a lot with Arkham Origins. I don't know what to expect from it. I don't have a lot of expectations for it. I'm sure it will be a good game, but probably not as good as Arkham City is. But I'm sure it's going to be up that level there as Arkham City.
Well, the big thing is that they're not sending out advanced copies for review, and that's kind of the first sign of,
oh boy,
what's going on over here. But it's that Watch Dogs would have been great if it was coming out.
Yeah, it would have been.
Hello?
Yeah, it would have been great if it was coming out.
Oh, sorry, it was my screen was loading. Hold on, sorry. Yep, and it's. I think all the big ones that I've really been excited for have come out already.
Yeah, pretty much like BioShock Infinite, GTA 5, Splinter Cell Blacklist. Those three personally, I was looking forward to this year. But
and then of course Saints Row.
Yeah.
Because how can you not like Rodney Piper?
Yeah, Saints Row 4.
Yes. Mm. And let's see, and that's kind of it. And also being interested in The Wolf Among Us, that I didn't even expect I'd love as much. I was like, okay, they're going to be working on their next thing. I've seen Back to the Future and Jurassic Park, so maybe Walking Dead was just maybe a fluke. But no, they actually did a darn good job with all they had. And Wolf Among Us is shaping up to be even better than Walking Dead, hopefully.
Yeah, just those two releases there, and just the remaining episodes of The Wolf Among Us, which probably won't all come out later this year, just probably an episode or two later this year. Definitely looking forward to to play.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, most prominently, it's probably going to be just Arkham Origins and WWE 2K14 is looking.
Here comes the pain, brothers.
It's looking good. I'm looking forward to that. And that it definitely it does have a it does have a season pass, but I'm not too incredibly upset about it because it has a lot of content that's going to get that you're going to get for it. There are a couple of things that you'll get right away, and some of them that are going to come out in the next month after the actual game release, and then the month after. It's sort of the same thing they did last year. They put out some available content that's only going to be available like in the month after the game's release, and then the next month after. I think it's a little bit far too spread out for it, but I think that particular game, you can still be playing it, after the month or two, so it's not incredibly too bad. There, not a lot of people are going to just drop out of it and move on to the next thing, which some may do, some may don't. But I continually still play the last year's version, WWE 13. So that tells you something.
It's it seems like maybe now it's kind of the dry period where everybody's kind of gathering. Like obviously, a lot of people are making way for Call of Duty Ghosts. So, I mean, good luck to Activision, and I hope it turns out to be great. And I'm not looking particularly forward to it. I hope Arkham Origins is awesome because Batman has had one hell of a great movie with The Dark Knight and one of the best video games of all time with Arkham City, and I hope maybe that just not sending out advanced copies is just a ploy for hype, because I would love to see it do really, really well. And then I think everyone's like top 10 of the year is starting to kind of come together, but besides that, I'm really looking forward to. Oh, also State of Decay. That one was a really big surprise for me.
I have not yet gotten a chance to play that yet, but I hear good things.
Mm-hmm. It's very ambitious and very creative for its scope and budget, and you can definitely tell that they cut corners in some places, and it's not the most fleshed out stuff. And the most you learn about their people's personality in the groups is through their likes and dislikes section, or what they're really good at in terms of skill leveling, because that is like what one person we like: gardening 5 stars, driving 6 stars, sexting 1 star. It's like they put enough comedy and just like really creative humor and elements of that where it's done really, really well. But it's an incredible, ambitious title, and it rivals some $60 price game, which is saying something. So give them a look-see.
Will do. Does that game have like a main story thread that you follow, or is it just kind of a game you can always hop on and off every now and then, just do stuff without really having a overall plot with main missions and like a story and the beginning and end?
It's
from what you've gathered there.
It's actually fairly interesting. It's the kind of standard zombie plot overall, where it's just like, okay, you all come together, you try to find an outpost together, you try to survive, you get information, you find out what's going on with the military, and then something, you try to get out of this certain area into another place, and then but the thing is that it's very interesting characters, because they're not played as like it's the leader is a black guy who's not. They don't point out, it's like, oh, look at him. Aren't we in like advancing like cultural and racial tolerances by having him here? Nor do they also have a like the strongest one is a female character in the entire group. There's a gay character who is actually in love with the farm boy, and that's a very interesting side plot. And just like everyone's so well made, and they don't even have that many. They don't even have a lot of voice actors for this thing.
Yeah, so it reminds me of I guess Deadly Premonition, because they didn't have a lot of recorded dialogue. Most of it was just in text.
Yeah.
And you can kind of also get an idea of what they were like just based on, I guess, some of their actions, and also, I guess, brief interactions you do have with them, or just some of the maybe trading cards you may find of them. They'll give you a little bit information on them. Seems to be that where it's going for. It's a game that's has a limited budget, but makes do what it's given really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. Oh, what the hell? Yes, I'm still here. I'm sorry. It just asked me. It's like, hi, are you still there? We don't know. And it's like, yeah, I'm still here. You son of a bitch. You can't go to bed just yet.
Yeah, it's Hangouts letting you know there in case you may have passed out.
Yeah, it's but A State of Decay is a really well made title. I love there's a lot of characters I like, and you don't even get a lot of exposition from them as characters, just a lot of text and dialogue. But sometimes that's better, just because you can kind of fill in what their voice is, who they are as characters, or just from these little blurbs. And it's kind of the big sort of, imagine like Undead Nightmare crossed with Left 4 Dead and scavenging components, and like you got to grow your own farm, you got to get like medical supplies, make runs out to parts of town that have been ransacked, get survivors, call for help. And it's very ambitious, and I haven't played it in a while, but I think they've actually updated kind of a infinity mode where you can play it like once you complete the game, kind of like Fallout 3. It was like it was originally. It's done, but I think they're still working on or have worked on a patch that makes you play it indefinitely. Like you could play it for as long as you want, and it's certainly a game that garners a lot of attention, and for the right reasons. It's a really good game.
Okay, yeah, it's just, I guess, that mode where it allows you to still continue playing and probably continue up any side quest you may have missed, which with the Fallout games, like Fallout 3, probably I don't think it did have until they patched it, but yeah, it allowed you to continue on after that main story to just finish up any side quest you may have. That's cool. Mm-hmm. So definitely, I look forward to see how Arkham Origins turns out. I'll definitely look forward to discussing that with you if you're going to get that. And it just seems like the rest of the year is just going to be mainly focused on the new consoles and some of the release stuff. That's mainly what's going to be the main focal point for November, anyways. And I'm just interested to see how some developers will and publishers will go about releasing the new games out next year, and how much we'll be seeing maybe the similar amount of games for the current gen, or compared to the ones that are coming out for the newer consoles. I'd be interested to see how much we'll be getting, how much games we'll be getting by next year on these current consoles right now.
Because we've been promised that this, at least for the Xbox, that it will be, there will be still support for it for the next 5 years. Now, how much of that is true remains to be seen, but it's interesting that they're actually at least acknowledging that might be an issue in the future. Just like people aren't really ready to move on and invest in new consoles, so there might be some hangers-on who's like, don't worry, we still got you too. If in Rock Band, we got you too. They're great. But also, if you're not interested in changing your console, then we will be more than happy to satisfy those needs too.
Yeah,
because they also had like the PlayStation 2 had like games in development up until like 2010. So I definitely feel like, okay, they're probably going to realize, like, okay, there's going to be people who are going to be huge holdouts. So we'll try to also get their money as well.
Yeah, and there's still definitely some games being developed right now that are coming out for the current gen, like Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not completely jump aboard onto the next ship or sink. There's still going to be, I think, there's still going to be some support for it. As much as the next gen is. So not too worried about that, but just curious to see, the amount of games we'll be getting for the current gen next year. That's always going to be interesting there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And
well, other than
I'm more interested in. I'm sorry.
What were you going to say?
I'm just saying that I'm interested in seeing how they deliver content next gen. If they've learned anything in a lot of people do digital now, or if they'll still try to adhere to the model of, you're probably gonna have to go to brick and mortar places for a while.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, so far they've already. I didn't think it was a huge deal, but they certainly have already kind of moved forward with removing Microsoft points. So a lot of it is just actual dollars, and not the space bucks we had before.
I sure those Disney dollars sure felt like they were a lot of money in my hand.
Yeah, it was so cool that it's cool that you're still able to transfer whatever you had remaining onto the current currency that's on the 360 now. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm. It was even an added bonus because it transferred up with the transfer system.
Yeah, definitely. You could apply it to the purchase of something if you had points left over, rather than just being forced to purchase something that has to be something lower or similar to the points you've had. You couldn't add on to it. If that makes any sense, but
right, yeah, no.
So that was good there.
And, yeah, it was sort of weird how it was just like, oh, here's a $10 game, but you have to pay $12 for 100 Microsoft points. It's like, this kind of feels fishy. I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I had my fair share of issues with that, because there were DLC available that was only 99 cents, but you couldn't just buy it for 99 cents. You had to buy the lowest pack available of points, so it had to be $5. And I had points left over after I bought the DLC, so I kind of had no choice but to basically buy any other DLC that was available, just so I can just spend it, because I'm not going to find anything cheap that's going to be as good for the price, unless maybe look at the indie market. There's some games that are like 80 Microsoft points, but some of them are not really worth their time. But
I don't know. With Criminals Under Attack, that game. Damn, that was good.
I will say Mount Your Friends is definitely worth the 80 Microsoft points.
Who Did I Date Last Night? Come on, how could you not love it?
Oh man, yeah, the indie market is a beast, an interesting beast itself.
Yeah, and I actually am going to be very, very interested to see what in the world they're going to do for the indie market, because Sony has said we're going to have a huge huge organization devoted specifically to the indie market. Then Microsoft got criticized for not doing so, and now they're playing catch up, especially with the Xbone debacle. And it'll be interesting to see, just as soon as they launch, and how things develop and progress.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we'll see. So other than that, there, CH, is there anything else that you want to discuss before we call it a episode here? This was quite an insightful episode. We definitely talked about a lot of things unrelated to video games early on in the show, which I don't mind. I think it's really... Definitely, it mixes things up a bit. Plus there wasn't a lot to really discuss in terms of news, which we like to bring up every now and then. No, not really much of that. I tried a good 30 minutes looking for something to discuss. I didn't think we were going to be at it this long because I had nothing to talk about really.
Yeah, sorry about that. My fault.
No problem. It was just it's just pretty much. Nothing in the news, but other than that's when you know it's kind of a slow news week, when we're just kind of talking about whatever, which is awesome. I like that as well.
Yeah, it's it's been a kind of a slow video game news cycle, but I'm sure as more of the games start kind of coming out after Grand Theft Auto 5 has given everyone some breathing room, we'll have a lot more newsworthy stuff to talk about for the video game section.
Yeah, and as some of these newer releases come out, like Arkham Origins, we'll definitely have something to discuss with on that as well, just to see how our impressions on it when we actually play it. Now thinking about it, a Friday release is not that bad. Like you play it on a Friday, and then tomorrow is the weekend. You get to enjoy the game on the weekend. That's the bright side of it being released on a Friday that Steve Roll made me aware of here. So I think that's not as bad it being released on a Friday.
Oh, you gotta always look on the bright side of life.
So yes, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to conclude our episode today. So I'm going to go ahead and give the drops out here. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm going to be at Splinter47, and CH is going to be under CH_Gorog on Twitter there. And you can always listen to us on iTunes. I'm always uploading the podcast through the regular channels. Spill.com, our group page is still up on Spill.com. Not quite as active as it once was. I'm kind of I don't visit the site very often, other than just uploading stuff. So apologies to Jack Burton. I think he's the only one that's contributing on that group page. So also
yes, you, Jack.
Yeah, also you can listen to us on the BGB.com, our podcasting partners over at the BGB.com. They definitely do a lot of good stuff there. They do some articles and some audio reviews every now and then on some games. Definitely worth checking them out, and just following their regular streams as well. All that should be on their site there. So if in case you need to take a look at that. We also did a GTA 5 review with the fellas at the Better Gaming Bureau as well. So if you haven't checked that out, it should be on the site there as well, and just in all the available channels you usually get our podcast. It should be up there.
Yeah, check us out. Thank you very much for supporting us, ladies and germs, and keep an eye out for all of our future developments. And once again, we thank you for sticking by us, listening to our podcast, chiming in when you are free to, and sending in questions and feedback. We love it, and we love you.
Definitely, we always appreciate that, and I always try to keep you guys updated on just the status of what we're up to in the podcast as well. I know we sometimes have the tendency of not doing one for a good month, which is, for our own reasons. We're usually occupied with things, and just sometimes we even forget. I even forget to message you about recording. Like, oh yeah, I forgot we haven't recorded in 2 weeks, and things like that. It usually happens, which is no biggie. But we try to be as consistent as we try to be. We try to do that, just because I always find it that with some podcasts I listen to, they're usually pretty consistent, and they're the ones I usually listen to on a frequent, because they're always releasing it on a certain day and schedule. So I'm kind of used to that. I don't know if that's the case for some of anyone who listens to us, but if you do end up still listening to us on the whenever you can, we do definitely appreciate that, and all the patience in terms of when we actually release something.
It's thank you very much. It's a very tumultuous time for Splinter and I don't know. Well, I'm speaking kind of more for myself, but just so occasionally we'll have something come up, and since these are not our full-time jobs and we're not getting hugely paid for this, we would also like to plug in our Bloody Thumbs trial page for audible.com for all your audiobook purposes. Please go ahead and check them out and support the website. But we don't get we don't have enough to kind of live off of this, so when life kind of comes a knocking, we kind of have to go forward. But thank you very much for sticking by us and just supporting us throughout all these years, and just we would love to do it for anytime we have free time, and just for the love of the show. Yeah,
of course. And if we never do maybe a podcast a certain week, you can always check out the guys at the Better Gaming Bureau. They definitely have a good amount of content that they put out on the daily, especially with Christian streams. He's definitely got a streaming thing going there on the weekday, so you can tune into that. And I definitely do some streaming every Friday. I do try to do it every Friday. My Deadly Fridays, I definitely try to do some type of stream. So right now, most likely I'm going to be continuing on my streams this Friday. Going to be continuing playing I Am Alive. That's a interesting title there. A lot of platforming than you'd expect from originally, but it's interesting. It's got a lot of interesting mechanics to it. So I probably look forward to getting into detail on that in the future. Probably when I finish it, and just probably giving it a brief discussion review on it whenever I can. But I'll definitely do that. So yes, that's all that and more. I'll probably provide in the description of this podcast for any other additional links that I may have missed. So so thank you all for listening there. This has been episode 144 of Blayton's podcast. You all have a good night.
And thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you all next time. We hope to see you all next time. This is CH Gorog signing off.